Welcome to In the Moment with Cortia Kuzan, where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. Happy Monday, or should I say, welcome to this motivational Monday. Woo-woo! Let's get excited out there as we're getting ready for work, as we're brewing the coffee. And I know some of you right now may be trying to hold your eyelids up just as you walk to the restroom, your bathroom, to even wipe your faces. But hey, let's get motivated for what we have in store on this week. And you know, we're going to give a shout out to our Central Louisiana community. Good morning, in Natchitoches and Gina and Alexandra at 88.1 FM. Monroe, West Monroe on 98.9 FM. Shreveport, Greenwood on 92.5 FM. St. Joseph, Natchez, Mississippi on 99.3 FM, and Lake Charles on 100.1 FM. And as always, call in with your questions and comments at the radio station at the local number, 318-484-2500, and toll free 877-464-2500. And one more point. Follow us on social media through every medium that's out there at In the Moment with Cortia Kuzan. That's In the Moment with Cortia Kuzan. And then, of course, at our website, you can receive a free gift that's available to you at In the Moment with CortiaKuzan.com. That's In the Moment, KortiaKousin.com. All right. So, starting it off on this motivational Monday, and you know, we living for the weekend. And some of you right now, you just starting your Monday and you're like saying, okay, 5 days. 5 days. You haven't really started this day, but 5 days until Friday, 5 o'clock, we quitting time. But you know, the thing that I found out that why a lot of people actually, as they begin their week, look so forward to the ending of their week is because they don't have a balance in their lives. And the thing that really needs to happen is that if we don't have proper balance, I mean, we're always going to have that same mentality of like living for the weekend, okay? So what we're going to be talking about is going to be like a work-life balance, okay? And we've got to actually have that because it's just like when one area is just totally out of whack, it causes, detrimental consequences that happen in so many other areas. And you might say, well, you just don't realize I'm just so busy. I've got this going on. I've got things with the kids. I've got this with my spouse. I've got this with the church. You've got to have that balance because what the end result is, what's going to really be good about you just all of a sudden not being aware. It's like it's like sometimes I've told some of my kids, and it's happened to me, you can actually just be sitting there, your eyes are open, but no one's home. It's just like you're just there. You're staring off blank just because, you're just totally out of it because of exhaustion and everything else that goes on. And, for a lot of people, the pursuit of a healthy work-life balance seems like it's an impossible goal. I mean, in our hectic lifestyle today, I mean, we're going here, we're going there. We have a to-do list. Something changes. We throw that to-do list out the window, and then all of a sudden, we've got to, as I like to call it, play the chess game, go back and forth, thinking of how we're going to get this done and that done. And then all of a sudden, maybe you're a parent, and you go to work, and all of this happens, and you get this phone call or a text message, and your child says, hey, I missed the school bus. Then you've got to make arrangements to leave work, then go pick up the child. I mean, there's so many different things that can possibly happen. But even in the midst of all of that, you've got to have some type of work-life balance. Now, with so many of us like torn between, juggling heavy workloads and managing relationships and family responsibilities and, and definitely squeezing outside interests, it's really no surprise that really 1 in 4 people, or should I say more than one in 4 people in America describe themselves as what? Super stressed. Okay, can anyone identify with that? Has anyone gone through a level of stress out there? Look, I'd be happy if you call in and share it with me because I've seen people get stressed over the most minute things, almost to where people seem like they were going to explode, like an atomic explosion that happened. But what are we actually doing to have that work-life balance? I mean, and definitely with a super stressed lifestyle, I mean, that's not balanced. And just not even saying about balance, it's not even healthy, okay? If we're living in a state of where we're always stressed, can you just imagine how that's playing havoc on your body, havoc in your personal lives. I mean, one of the main things for stress from someone that used to suffer from, I'm going to call it chronic stress all the time. Wow. Talk about sleep just becomes like non-existent. Why? Because you cannot turn your brain off because you're trying to go ahead and analyze every single thing that you did from that particular day. Did I do this right? Could I have done this better? Why couldn't I have gotten this done? That's just so many things that you mull over in your head. But guess what? We've got to have that proper work-life balance. And, in our definite rush, okay, to get it all done at the office and at home, it's actually easy to forget that, as our stress levels spike, your productivity is actually going to plummet. Now, we actually fool ourselves into thinking, okay, let me push through this stress. Let me push through the workload. Let me do this. But it almost seems like it's systematic to where you keep pushing, and then you get to the point of where, okay, what am I doing? I have no idea what's going on right now. And you kind of just sit there until it actually comes back to your recollection of, okay, all right, I started here. I started doing this. It's almost like you're doing your work, but you're kind of lost in your work. It's almost like you're watching your body move on the outside, but you have no recollection of actually what's going on, okay? It's like, you're just observing yourself like on television to see exactly what is it that you're actually going to get done, all right? And then, just as I was saying, stress can zap your concentration. Hello, how many of us wake up, we go to sleep in a fog, we wake up, it seems like we'll have more of a fog, and my producer wife is back there with her hand raised. How many of us actually do that? To where one of the first things we think about, that old commercial with that the guy that made the donuts, time to make the donuts, and then he's doing that every morning, and one morning he meets himself going to make the donuts, and his self says, I already made the donuts. How many of us do that with a pot of coffee? We get up in the morning, I've got to make the coffee. I've got to get to the coffee. And then all of a sudden you say, I already made the coffee, just because that balance is just so out of whack, it seems like, in your life, okay? Now, stress also makes us like irritable or depressed. Now, that is absolutely the case, because how many of us have been so stressed out and we didn't realize it, and someone could say, hey, good morning, how are you doing? What's so good about it? What's so good about it? And you're like saying to yourself, they're like, well, I didn't mean to rub you the wrong way. And when in yourself, you're like, well, I don't know what's got them pushed, their button got pushed the wrong way. And you just like, can't really see what's happening. But it's because you've been so stressed out and you've tried to hold so many things in and you've tried to be like that really great person. But then all of a sudden, when you get to a certain point, and I'm talking to somebody right now, when you get to a certain point, it gets to like all the little niceties and the defenses and the little fronts you put up for people, all that's going to come down, because whether you realize it or not, exhaustion is really going to take, the forefront, and people are really going to see what's on the inside. And then, of course, how it hinders our personal and professional relationships. We have got to have that proper work-life balance, because it is going to just throw everything out of whack. It's going to just spiral out of control. And, it's basically like if you've ever been a kid and you've gotten on one of those, you don't even realize what the thing, you get on that little playground equipment and you get it to spin around and you go faster and you go faster and faster. And, that's just like in your work-life balance. You keep trying to do things, you go faster and faster and faster. But just like on that little spin machine, you get off, and what ends up happening? The world starts spinning. You can't tell if you're up or down. You're trying to find out how to keep, balance. But then all of a sudden, if you're anything like me, I always went head first into the sand myself. But then, of course, you get up and you just cannot make heads or tails of your whole life. And that's what's happening when your work-life balance is just out of whack. It's going to just affect so many different areas. And when you think you're trying to strive ahead, literally you're going to find out that you're actually going backwards. So we've got to have that proper work-life balance. And you know something? When we get right back, you're going to find out that when we get back in your moment, we're going to get you right, nicely balanced. Welcome back to In the Moment with Cortia Kuzan on this Motivational Monday. All right, family, reach out to us at the radio station on our local number, 318-484-2500, and toll free at 877-464-2500. And we're talking about work-life balance. Gotta have that balance, It's basically, look, if you ever decided that, if anyone's ever walked on a balance beam, okay? So you're walking on this balance beam. And what would happen if someone said, look, I've got every heart's desire that you could possibly think of at the end of this balance beam. You're starting at one point, and let's just say if it's equivalent of going across a 20-foot room, okay? And you just have to walk across this balance beam and get to the end. You can have every little heart's desire that you actually wanted. Now, but the thing is that so many of us are trying to strive to have a work-life balance. It seems like we're walking, the picture that I really want to give you is someone walking on a tightrope between two cliffs. And you can't see the bottom, but if you walked from one end to the other, like I said, you get your heart's desires. Now, would you be able to balance everything that's going on in your life to get to that end result? And so many people put themselves in a situation to where it seems like they're walking on a tightrope, to where they can't even see the bottom of where they're going, instead of a balance beam that seems like a sure deal to get to that end result of receiving like their heart's desires. Why? Because like we said, undue stress, things that we're juggling. I applaud a lot of the parents out there. We have family members that do it, but I personally wouldn't choose to do it, to where they can actually have these jobs where they're working 50, 60 hours a week. And then, of course, they have kids with all of these different activities to where they're going from state to state, or, special things after school, or whatever it is that's going on. And it seems like you get home about 10, 11 o'clock, sleep till about 5, get up and do it all over again. If that's your lifestyle and you enjoy that, well, guess what? Amen, praise God to you. But then if you could have someone that just seems to just work all the time. Used to be there to where you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes you come home at 5 o'clock, in the afternoon, sometimes 10 o'clock at night. If that's your lifestyle, if you choose to do that, amen, praise God. But folks, family, friends, we have got to have a proper balance, because we can only do so much in our physical states for so long until, we start to wear our bodies out. And a lot of us right now, we're going through a season, and, we've been taking note that there's so many people, especially professionals out there. Well, I tell you what, you ever notice how you're calling to the doctor's office possibly for, I don't know, you may have a bad cold, and you're looking to get some type of an antibiotic, and it just seems like you just want a simple antibiotic, and they're saying, well, we can get to you within 3 weeks or next month or something like that. Stress, and I'm going to go out on the line and say stress is one of the main things that's causing a lot of people to be in the doctor's offices today, because so many individuals, what we're really finding out is that if you can't have that proper work-life balance, okay, if you're not giving yourself time to actually recuperate, then what's going to happen? It's actually going to start, manifesting in where you're going to have weakened immune systems. You're going to be more susceptible to a variety of ailments, from colds to backaches to heart disease. And definitely, the newest research out there actually shows that chronic stress can actually double our risk of having heart attacks. And we have people that are actually passing away at an early age. And, early to me, if you are passing away in your 50s and stuff, you're kind of in my mind, you're almost at the halfway point. And, from just stress that's literally just cutting so many of our lives short. And when I actually did a little research on it and found out that stress is actually the #1 killer in this country today. Now, I didn't read anything around the world, but, if the things that I've read, that how our lives in this country are so hectic, do you realize that even if you go to a quote-unquote coffee shop, in some of the European countries, that some of those places you cannot even get a cup of coffee or a to-go cup for your coffee? It's kind of a requirement to where you actually get the cup of coffee. You've got to sit down and actually drink it there. It's like things are designed to actually slow you down to where you can actually enjoy life, to actually have that balance. And, when my family and I, when we first moved to, the central Louisiana area, we came from the New Orleans area, it was hard for us to slow down just because we were in a fast-paced environment, and we were wondering why was everyone moving so slowly. And it's something to where you see from region to region, from state to state, wherever you're at, it's going to depend on, exactly what's going on in that particular area and how you're actually going to be able to maintain or get yourself into a proper work-life balance. Now, people all have a certain degree of stress. We really do, whether you admit it or not. Everyone has that certain degree of stress. Sometimes it allows some people to perform at their best, and sometimes it actually kind of cripples individuals. But, you know, the key to managing any type of stress is that it lies in the one word. Like I said, balance, okay? Not magic, but it really requires balance, you know. And not only in achieving like a healthy work-life balance, an attainable goal that we really need is for like workers and businesses alike is actually to receive or should I say, see the rewards in having that proper balance. I mean, your productivity, I mean, you become, let's just say on a personal level, you become so much more so, how can I say, you're likable when you're around your family, when you're around your friends, you're not snapping at people, you can carry on a conversation, you know, you actually want to spend time, you know, like with family members, and, you know, there's so many different things, and then when you're at work, you can actually get to the point of people can come to you, you're more approachable, you can actually, you know, be more productive when you're on a job. You get more creative when you're on a job. There's so many different things instead of going through that, you know, 24/7 fog that you have in your brain. It's just like for whatever reason, you just cannot remember what it is that you need to grab hold of. Or usually when you're at such a level of productivity and it kind of falls, trust me when I tell you, you know, your supervisors take note of it. The people that may be working under you take note of it, and they see exactly how it's affecting, you know, your work life, and it definitely transitions over to your personal life. Now, look, some things that you can actually do as far as like at the job, you've got to actually set some manageable goals for yourself each and every day, okay? And what do I mean by, you know, setting manageable goals? You've got to be able to, you know, meet the priorities that help, you know, you feel a sense of accomplishment and control, but don't set them where they're so far out there to where you get stressed for never hitting the goals that you set for yourself on the job. Hey, I used to do that for myself, okay? Set these goals that just seemed like they were so unreachable, but then, you know, you set like 10 goals for yourself and you reach one, and then within yourself you start to say, man, I'm being here for like 8-10 hours, I've only been able to achieve one thing that I've actually wanted to do on this particular day. And you look at the heaps and mounds and you start to put that in a realm of pressure instead of turning that around and say, okay, look, the day didn't go work out how I wanted it to. I was able to achieve this one goal, even though it may have been something that was really big that made a definite impact, you know, in your job or, you know, your business. But then, like I said, instead of us seeing these small steps of something positive, we look at what we didn't accomplish as opposed to what we did accomplish. And, you know, we need to actually be realistic, like I said, about our workloads and our deadlines. We have got to be realistic about these things. If a supervisor or someone comes to you on a job and they give you this big project, okay, outline how to come up with a business plan for this new division that's actually happening, it's ludicrous to actually tell your supervisor, I'll have this to you by the end of the day. When you know you've got to go ahead and do the market research, you've got to do what's happening in a particular area, you've got to see what type of employees they have there, you've got to see what the track record is over the last 3 years. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to happen. But, you know, don't set these, like, unrealistic goals that you actually set for yourself, you know, and make these deadlines. And definitely make sure you have a to-do list, you know, and take care of the important tasks first and eliminate the unessential ones. And what I mean by that is that a lot of us, we do busy work, but we don't do productive work, okay? And did you get that? We do things that seem to keep us busy, but we don't do things that produce results, that bear fruit, okay? And that's in every area of our life. Now, what do I mean? You can actually have an office, a home office. Let's just say you're working from your home. And you may be busy setting up your whole computer area, lining up paperwork. You've probably made a few calls. You've gotten things set up with your internet. I mean, you just whatever you want to do, but you've been busy. But then all of a sudden, how did all of that what you've done, how did it actually produce fruit? And what I mean by fruit, to actually grow your business and produce a income stream, a revenue that's coming into your business. See, we have got to differentiate as far as like what is actually something that's actually productive and something that just keeps you busy. And I'm here to tell you, busyness can actually be something that's a time stealer that actually knocks you out of that work-life balance. So set manageable goals each and every day, you know, in your business or in your job. So And the next thing, be efficient with your time at work. You have got to be efficient. Be productive, be efficient, get in there, do what needs to be done, and stop lollygagging, stop hanging around the water cooler, stop taking the opportunity to go visit people at the cubicles. Do everything you need to do to be productive. If you want to socialize, socialize on your lunch, socialize on your break. But do what's necessary at work to be productive. And when you get maximum productivity, it's going to allow your workflow to go forward. And then guess what? People are going to realize that you're truly in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Cortia Kuzan. Family, we're talking about some good stuff. We're talking about some work-life balance in here today, giving you tips to help you to get everything back on keel, back on balance, to where you can have that optimum life to achieve all the things that God has in store for you. And any questions or comments, reach out to our local number at the radio station, 318-484-2500, or toll free at 877-464-2500. And I would really be interested to hear exactly what do you do to actually have balance in your life. So, bringing out another little point for you as far as like on a job. And some of you, when you hear this, you're probably going to be like, this guy must be crazy. He must not know where I actually work at. What about asking for flexibility? You might say, well, what do you mean ask for flexibility? There are some companies, some people out there to actually have flexibility with their employees and people that work for them to have that proper balance, is that they do what's called like a flex time. And, there's a lot of people that do telecommuting, and of course, how that's like quickly becoming established as, a necessity in today's business world. And many companies are actually drafting a work-life type policy. And what they do is that if you ask, they may allow you to actually flexibly work some of your hours from home a day a week. Now, what would that actually be? How would that actually alleviate some of the pressures to where, say like if you had a 5-day work week, Monday through Friday, typical work week for most people. And one of those days, and I'm sure you'd love it to be on a Friday, where you went into the office and, you were able to work Monday through Thursday at the office, and then all of a sudden on Friday you can work from your home. As long as you got what you need to get done, think about it. Especially if you were a single person or a parent, if you just actually got up and, if you took care of the kids, got them off to school, for an hour, a couple hours, you can have a cup of coffee, relax, sit around in your pajamas, do whatever you do to relax, and then get to your workflow. Probably never get out of your pajamas the entire day while doing your work. And look, my wife's over there shaking her head going, yeah, that's me. And then, of course, if you're single, it actually allows time for you to just get out and do other things that you may have to do. And, it actually motivates you. I'm here to tell you, it really motivates you to do more. And what I've seen from different people that actually have this situation, that their productivity just increased so much to the point to where the company actually said, well, wow, if you're actually able to accomplish this when you're home, they actually started giving additional days to be home as opposed to being in the office. But, that's just a suggestion that actually I can just give to you as far as like having that flexibility, actually speaking to your place that you actually are employed at. And what about taking 5, okay? All right, I'm talking about the right type of 5. I'm not talking, and what I mean by taking 5 is this. It's that, it's good to like take a break at work, okay? It's not only acceptable, it's often encouraged by many of our employers, all right? Because, small breaks at work or on any project will actually help you, clear your head and improve your ability to actually deal with stress and make good decisions when you jump back into the grind. Now, I said take 5 minutes to clear your head. Doesn't mean take 5 minutes every time you see someone that in the office get up to take their 5-minute break, okay? You don't want your work life to be your break life. And yes, I have seen this to where I've actually seen, even in the corporate world, to where sometimes you actually have to keep track of even where the management's going because they've taken so many breaks and you don't know where they are. To where when you have employees and other divisions that come to your division, hey, have you seen, my supervisor? And of course, I'm going to be like, well, I don't know exactly where they are. But look, we have to set the standard and the stage of having that proper work-life balance. And you've got to be, a good steward over what God has given you when you're on a job. I mean, if you've been blessed to have a job that really is actually working with you and what's going on in your life, but then you're kind of not I should say, putting forth your full effort when you're there, but then all of a sudden something happens, and then you probably get called into the office and you get reprimanded for something, and you start, well, why did this happen? If you actually look a lot of times at what's going on as far as like and what you're doing on the job, it'll actually be a great reflection or indicator exactly of how you may not be in balance. And then, of course, communicate effectively. Be honest with your colleagues. Be honest with your boss when you feel you're in a bind, okay? Don't think that, admitting that, you may be in a state of weakness that is going to make you look bad. What I found that from a lot of employers that are out there, if you say, okay, I've got it under control, and then all of a sudden you don't meet whatever particular deadline that's been set from you, and then they ask you, well, why didn't you meet the deadline? And you tell them, well, I felt overwhelmed. It's always going to be, well, why didn't you say something? I could have actually got such and such to help you. We could have delayed, could have given you more time, whatever it is. But, I see that's a real sense of pride, and I see that's a big thing with us men. It's a big thing to where we can just take it on, because we always see a lot of times that if we admit that we need help in a certain area, it's almost like if we are admitting that we're weak, that we have weakness. It's almost as they say, like blood in the water. People are coming around and they see that as an opportunity to take your position, but not so. Okay, but sometimes you may actually need to tune in. All right, what do I mean by that? Maybe you could actually have your favorite music playing at the workplace to actually help you with your concentration, to actually reduce stress and anxiety, to actually stimulate creativity. Now, I'm actually not saying you're in your cubicle or where you're at and you've got some music and you're trying to bust a move or whatever on a dance floor or whatever in your office. I'm talking about something that's just low, to where you can actually listen to it, something that gives you in that nice, peaceful state, to where you can actually, receive, and it opens up your mind, opens up the creativity, and it just flows, okay? To where it helps you, okay? It actually helps you, not a detriment to you, but it actually helps you. And then give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. And this is not the same thing as taking 5, because guess what? No one's perfect, family. No one's perfect. You need to allow yourself, no matter where you are, you need to actually allow yourself to be human, okay? And just do the best that you possibly can do. All you can do is what you can do, all right? You can prepare, you can actually make this connection, you can call this person, but all you can do on a day-to-day basis is what you can do. And I know if you're in a supervisory position, if you're out there with your own business, even with that, all you can do is what you can do. There is no possible way you're going to be able to account for all the factors out there of every single thing that's going to happen in a given day. There's just no way. Because if you're trying to do that, that's why, you could go ahead and you've got bags under your eyes, to where, if you go to an airport and someone asks me, I check your luggage, they're looking under your eyelids because they're drooping so heavily. All you can do is what you can possibly do. You have got to have that balance. And a lot of times, in admitting that, something, I don't have full control over everything that's going on in my life. But as long as I do what I can control, then it's going to produce the results that I'm looking for. And sometimes that may be immediate, sometimes that may be gradual, and sometimes it may seem like it's never going to happen. But guess what? Do only what you can do. Because when you try to grab hold of and control all, or try to think you can control all the aspects of everything that's going on, you're really going to find out how you're going to throw yourself out of balance in your work life, in your personal life, in pretty much every area of your life, and how you're going to turn around to where people are really going to probably start distancing themselves around because they don't want what's going on with you to come to them. But guess what? When you're that example of what it means to have work-life balance, then you may be the direct trigger that actually goes and sparks that fire that's necessary in your area of influence. And when we come back from break, we're going to get right back in your moment when we talk about your home side. Welcome back to In the Moment with Courtier Kuzan. We're talking about work-life balance today, and we've covered up some really good topics as far as being able to help you to find balance again in your work life. And we went through if you're on a job, if you're entrepreneur, part of a company, the things that you can actually do. And on this last portion of our show today, we're going to talk about the things that you can actually do in your home. Some of the things that we may know of, some of the things may seem overly simplistic, but a lot of the things I would say we choose not to do, which is causing us to be out of balance in our life when we get home. And, we go through the course of our day, and we have all of this thing where we're doing reports and computers and, doing scanners, cell phones, all of these different things. And, the main thing that you should be doing when you actually get home is what? Unplug, okay? You need to unplug. I mean, literally, the same technology that makes it so easy for, workers to do their jobs flexibly can also burn us out if we use them, 24/7. How are you going to keep working literally at home? And you may see it as like, okay, this is my unwind time. But you're doing the same thing at home that you do on the job, and you're saying it's like your unwind time. You're actually not disconnecting your brain. It's just that you're just shifting your brain with the same type of workload, but just in a different area. So we just need to really unplug, okay? And definitely, if need be, if at all possible, you make yourself available. I understand some people have jobs where they have to be on call, or, the occasional supervisor needs to get in contact with you about something. And, if that's per your work agreement or what your business is, then make yourself available, especially if you have the flexed hours that we're talking about. But you need to recognize what you need to have is that personal time as well, okay? You've got to establish your personal time. It just cannot be about work, emails, texts, every single thing that's going on, this report, that report, phone calls all through the night. You have got to unplug. You have to know when it's time to unplug. And then, of course, divide and conquer. Now, what do I mean by this? Make sure that, responsibilities at home are evenly distributed and clearly outlined. So you avoid confusion and problems later. And what I see with a lot of parents out there is that they don't divide and conquer, meaning that they don't actually give a lot of their kids tasks to actually do in the household. And it's amazing, like my youngest daughter, she actually talks about things that she does in our household as far as like can be washing dishes or clothes. And a lot of the kids where she's at the school, she said, well, Dad, they look at me like, I'm kind of an oddball when I say wash clothes or do dishes, and they're like, well, my mom handles all of that stuff, or someone else in the house handles all of that stuff. And then it really fascinated me to where do you realize there are even some kids out there that have no idea what it is to even sweep or mop a floor? How is it that we as parents and people that are professionals, if we have kids, how are we actually coming home and then from working all day on a job, we come home and we do all of these different house chores, okay, put more pressure on ourselves. And when we get home, it's supposed to be a time of rest, but then we get even more stress. And we just consider this like normal. It's almost that a lot of us, we've just allowed, different family members, whether they're children, people that are staying with us, just to say, hey, as long as you're in the house, hey, that's all that is. That's just your part of what needs to be done. But we need to divide and conquer and distribute, responsibilities. And then, of course, don't overcommit. Don't overcommit yourself. Do you actually feel stressed when you just, glance at a calendar? You just get a dread like, oh, my Lord, what's coming up the next day? What's coming up next week? So you just feel like this quiver just come up your spine. Are you actually overscheduling yourself with activities? You need to learn how to say no. You cannot say yes to every single person when they ask you something. If you're concerned about what people think about you or how they look at you, I think your mindset might be in the wrong place, because you are actually letting people know the extent of control they actually have over your life. It's almost like a puppeteer where you're up there with the string saying, dance, puppet, dance. And a lot of people are losing control of their lives just because they don't know how to say no. You need to shed that so-called Superman or Superwoman urge that I can leap tall buildings in a single bound, do all these things. I'm more powerful than a locomotive. Well, guess what? If you haven't realized, Superman even needs rest, to stop from the day-to-day action. Everyone needs rest. So guess what? Even you need rest. And get support, all right? Chatting with friends and family can actually be important to your success at home or at work. And, you can even improve your health. One of the biggest ways to actually de-stress, especially if you're married, is to actually talk with your spouse. Just talk about your day. I'm not talking about the things that were just really bad, because I was an individual. I didn't want to bring anything that happened that was bad on the job home, just because to me it would actually maybe bring like that irritation at home. But, just talk about the day, talk about things. If there are certain concerns that you really need to talk about, then go ahead and talk about them. But, there needs to be a type of rapport or communication, either with your spouse or someone in your household, to actually alleviate that stressful pressure that you actually have. And people with, stronger support systems have, a more aggressive immune responses to illnesses than people who lack that support system. I mean, if you literally cannot go with somebody and they help you to de-stress or get over the things that may be having you hung up for that particular day, and you're just holding this in day by day, day by day, day by day, and then all of a sudden you find yourself waking up and it just seems like out of the blue, oh my Lord, I've got pneumonia, or something ends up happening to you. It's been a gradual progression that's actually happened with you, and it's not something that just happened all of a sudden. It's like that stress just opened you up to more and more infirmities and different things out there. But guess what? You've got to have a support system. And sometimes it may not be the best support system that you may choose to have, but have some type of support system, okay? And then, of course, take advantage of, your company's, employee assistance programs. And what do I mean by that? Many organizations actually offer resources through, and I'm going to say EAP, which I just said, which can actually save you precious time by providing, guidance on issues like, how to find a daycare center for your child, or, if you have your parents and they're living with you, actually, finding caretaking agencies, for elderly parents, as well as referrals to, mental health and other services. Because a lot of companies out there realize that, look, I need to start taking care of the needs of my employees, even in those areas of their lives, because if I don't, then what? They're not going to be as productive because their full attention isn't going to be at work, or they're going to miss work because they need to go ahead and take care of, family, kids, and so on and so forth. All right? So take advantage of these things if your company actually handles these things, because why? It's actually going to take pressures off of you to where you can have a proper work-life balance. And then, of course, stay active. Stay active. And this is a really big thing. And, my wife and I, we go to the gym, and I'm so happy to see people of all, races, nationalities, colors, and creeds, and they're all different body types, and they're in there getting that exercise, and it's really needed, because guess what? Exercise, I would have to say, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, things to actually alleviate stress. I mean, you can go in there so wound up and so, high strung about the workday, and get in there for a good 30 minutes of cardio, do a few free weights, whatever it is. And it's just like, for your time in there, it just takes away all of those pressures that are actually on you. And, aside from the well-known physical benefits, like I said, regular exercise actually reduces stress, depression, and anxiety, and it actually enables people to actually do better to cope with adversity, according to, most researchers out there. I mean, it also helps to boost your immune system and keep you, out of the doctor's office. I mean, that's crazy when you can actually call the doctor's office and you've got a severe cold and you're not able to get in for like a month to 6 weeks, and sometimes I've even heard people say 3 months until the next appointment. But a lot of these things can be alleviated just with staying active. And, make sure that you actually schedule in your time for the gym to take advantage of these things. Sometimes you may have to go during lunch. Sometimes you may have to get up a little early. And at times you may actually have to forsake your television time after work and actually go and do these things to actually make sure that you're staying active. Now, but then guess what? Treat your body right, family. You have got to treat your body right. You can't start the day off with a high sugar intake. Lunchtime comes, high sugar again. Taking an afternoon break, you get a caffeine drink, and then before dinner, have got to have that extra piece of cake, pie, or whatever it is to go with dinner, okay? That's not taking care of your body right. Now, when you're in good shape being in good shape physically, all right, it's actually going to increase your tolerance to stress and reduces those sick days. I mean, Eating right and exercise can actually allow you to get adequate rest. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Eating right can actually help you to get adequate rest. And then, of course, get help if you need it. Okay? Don't let stress stand in the way of your health and your happiness. All right? If you are persistently overwhelmed, are you hearing me? It may be time for you to actually seek help from, if need be, a mental health professional. I'm first and foremost going to say, look, if you don't have anyone to go to and you're a part of a really great ministry, you go, hey, seek out your pastor, all right? Go to your pastor or seek someone that's actually going to help you to de-stress. And, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. As I said before, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Taking care of yourself is what? A sign of strength. And as the Bible says, laughter does good like a medicine. And God wants you to be healthy, happy, and wise and take advantage of everything that he has for you. And I thank each and every one of you for tuning in today on this Motivational Monday. And we will see you tomorrow for a terrific Tuesday. Take care and God bless you.